Dan Campbell said today in his press conference that they were dying for someone to step up at receiver. And I guess the Lions said, you know what? Maybe we can bring some people in to help you do just that. According to Aaron Wilson's Twitter, says the Lions brought in for a workout Trey Quinn and Greg Ward, and both of these gentlemen are receivers. Now, one of those names might sound familiar. That would be Trey Quinn. Trey Quinn was actually part of our team last year, and as we were approaching the preseason, it was him. I want to say him, Chase Cota, Dylan Drummond. Those were the three guys that were kind of showing flashes that we could bring in. Now, believe it or not, Trey Quinn was actually drafted in 2018, the 7th round. I feel like that might be at the end or near the end. Actually played, the last time he played in a regular season NFL game was all the way back in 2019. But I want you to notice something here. Last year, he was a Michigan Panther. He played with Jake Bates. I remember watching this guy, and Trey Quinn was a dog over there. Now, obviously, that's lesser competition. Think of the preseason, but maybe a little better than preseason football. So these guys really are like player number 54 on the roster. We also brought in a guy named Greg Ward. His last action was in 2021, where he played 17 games with the Philadelphia Eagles, had 7 receptions off of 11 targets for 95 yards. The intriguing one about this is really Trey Quinn. Because again, Trey Quinn was on our team this time last year, if I remember correctly, and he was the guy. But what happened was he actually was injured. Remember what happened with Chase Cota. For those of you who don't remember, Chase Cota, it was him, Chase Cota, and Trey Quinn, and they were battling it out. And then Chase gets hurt and waived with an injury settlement. And then we went over that an injury settlement involves you have to wait whatever time you were going to be out. And then if you want to come back to the same team that waived you, you have to wait an additional 3 weeks. Well, Chase didn't want to do that. He wound up going to the Kansas City Chiefs. And I think he was still there when they won the Super Bowl. But Trey with the NFL, man, with the UFL, he wasn't bad. As you can see, because I didn't bring this up, he was 11th in the league in receiving yards, and he was tied for 5th in the league with 4 touchdowns. He had 438 receiving yards. Now, that's not, let me see, how many, it doesn't say how many targets and things like that. Don't forget, the UFL only has 10 games. So they have a little over half of what, let me see, 9 would be 50%. So they have about 56, 57%, I would say, as many games as the NFL does. So if you added another, you would easily say, if this was a 17-game season, that Trey could have had 1,000 yards. So I'm not going to dismiss Trey, because I remember watching him last year and what he was able to do for the Michigan Panthers in the UFL. Now, I always admire guys like this who come in here, and Maurice Alexander is one of them. You know what I'm saying? You were in the NFL last season. You go play in the UFL, which begins after the NFL season. That season ends in June, and this guy approximately has about 2 months. It's been about 2 months since the UFL season ended, and that's the only gap. The regular NFL players, they get about 6 months. But the good news is Trey's probably in shape and condition his body to do just that. So Greg Ward, I don't really think he's has any real chance to make the roster. But Trey Quinn, I'm not going to say he'll make the roster. I think wide receiver 5 and or 6 is not on this team. I could see one of these guys. And you know what? You notice the pattern here. The last 2 days, we've worked out 3 receivers. We brought in Alex Erickson yesterday. We brought in Trey Quinn today and Greg Ward. So there's something missing in the wide receiver room if you're Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell, obviously. And what they're doing now is, I think they're bringing back a familiar face. what they're really waiting on is probably people getting cut. And those guys over in the Houston Texans got an overabundance of wide receivers, 14 the last time I counted. And there's some good guys that could be cut from there. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Are you not as confident as maybe you once were in the wide receiver room based off Dan Campbell's comments and the fact that the Detroit Lions have worked out 3 receivers in 2 days, and one of them used to play for the Detroit Lions? Whatever happens, I hope Trey gets a legitimate preseason. If he is brought in, he only has 2 games to shine, but the good news for him is he has that history with the Detroit Lions. So let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. We probably will have one more video if they bring out training camp observations. Training camp began at 6:15. I'm guessing 8:15. If the beat writers decide to put it out tonight, you're probably looking at after 9:30 or so. If that information is released tonight, we will get that information to you tonight, because tomorrow is yesterday's price ain't today's price, right? So let me know your thoughts in the comments below. This channel is brought to you by viewers, subscribers, and members just like you. Because there's no practice tomorrow, we will probably do the giveaway. Spin wheel is already loaded, so look forward to that. You guys are awesome. Take care of yourself and each other. And as always, go Lions. Believe it or not, this is kind of tiring.